Over half of North Americans admit to feeling overwhelmed by the amount of stuff in their homes. But I am here to tell you it does not have to be like that. My team and I have spent the past 3 years working in client homes to declutter and overhaul their spaces. And today I'm taking you with me as we declutter and organize a linen closet for a client who was recently overwhelmed by the amount of stuff in this space. And as we declutter, I'm sharing 5 things that people always declutter when we're working with them that leaves them with a more functional, organized, clutter-free, and peaceful space. One thing I've learned after working with clients is that some people live and die by expiration dates and some people disregard them completely. And then there are some people that are somewhere in the middle. I definitely used to be way more lax about expiration dates. However, since we started doing pantries for clients, I would bring home like some of the expired canned items so that I could like dump them in my compost, rinse them out and recycle them just to reduce a little bit of waste. And by opening some of those expired cans, I found some nasty stuff. So I've definitely become like more aware of expiration dates. And expiration dates can be on so many things like food, pantry items, beauty products, even like household repair supply items. But regardless of expiration dates, clients always tend to declutter medications, which is item number 1 on today's list of things people always declutter. And expiration dates are only really one reason that people declutter medications. It could be that family members have outgrown them. So say you had infant Tylenol, but your youngest child is now 16, or maybe meds that belong to like a family member who's passed away. So like you had medication for a parent or a grandparent. A lot of times even just meds that have exploded or they've leaked and it's just this giant mess and they just have to be tossed. Another one is like medications that were for an isolated incident. So say you got pink eye 6 years ago, you probably don't need that medication anymore. And meds tend to add up so fast, but clearing out stuff you don't need can make a huge difference, especially in small spaces like this. If you are looking around your house for items to purge, medication might be something worth reviewing. The next item comes up in multiple areas of homes. Now, I don't know if this is because we live in Ontario and it's like cold here in the winter, or if this is everywhere. If you're in like Texas or Florida, let me know. But one thing that really tends to add up are blankets. And I think I'm aware of this because honestly, it happens in my own house too. A lot of the time, I think it's because we receive a lot of blankets as gifts and a lot of times handmade gifts. And they sort of like represent safety and security and warmth. And honestly, who doesn't want to be cozied up on the couch in a blanket? However, they also tend to be fairly bulky and take up a lot of space. So item number 2 that people always declutter are blankets. However, deciding which ones to get let go of can be a little bit tricky. It often tends to be blankets that people forgot they even owned or like haven't used in ages. Like we'll pull one out and they're like, I don't even remember where we got that from or that we even owned it. Or if it's a sentimental blanket, I tend to ask if they have other ones from the same family member. Like a lot of times we'll have clients where their grandmother made them a quilt, but let's say if they made them 5 other quilts, maybe we want to keep some, but maybe not all 6 of them. So let's decide, our top 3 keep those and the other 3 we can pass along. If you're working through decluttering in your own home, I've actually just added a ultimate decluttering guide for families to my website. It includes like journal prompts to reflect on sort of the root of that overwhelm. It has practical advice, actionable steps, for making those decisions, a bunch of realistic tips and strategies to create these clutter-free and peaceful spaces. I'll include a link to it in the description box below in case you want to check it out. The next item is very common in kitchens, bathrooms, and laundry rooms. I still haven't discovered the real root of this, but I find that houses tend to collect cleaning supplies. My theory is that it has something to do with our aspirational self. Like, yes, if we get this floor cleaner from Instagram that has this adorable label, then all of a sudden I will start to love cleaning floors. And that's probably my theory because that sounds like something I would do. Specifically, we often come across like Windex, like half Windex bottles, or items that we used to use like in an old house, but we can't use in our current house because our floors are different or whatever the case. We often see cleaning supplies that were kind of like hand-me-downs from friends or family members. Like you have a stepmom who just like loves this particular type of like wood polish and you're like, she gave it to you 2 years ago, but you've never used it because you don't use that. Or a lot of times you'll find cleaning wipes, like packs of cleaning wipes that had just dried out and they just end up being tossed. This particular client got rid of quite a few cleaners. She had no attachment to like cleaning or these products. And honestly, she rocked at decluttering pretty much every category actually. But if you really can't stand the idea of getting rid of these products or just tossing them, you might want to try project pan decluttering. It's essentially a challenge of using up products before buying new ones. It started with beauty products. So the idea of like getting down to the pans of eyeshadow or blush before buying any new products. And you can apply it to any consumables in your home. It's so great for pantry items, bathrooms, linen closets, laundry rooms. Use them up or get rid of them. Next up is something that is rarely talked about, but I think can make a huge difference, especially when it comes to visual clutter. I will often share pictures of my fridge on Instagram after I've reset it after getting groceries for the week, or realistically the day after that when I have enough energy to actually tidy it and reset it for the week. My fridge is absolutely nothing special. We don't have any cute matching containers or jars with the same lid or anything like that. But resetting always feels so good, and it does make it look almost kind of luxurious in some ways. And one teeny tiny thing I do that makes a massive difference is I get rid of all of the packaging. So I take the produce out of bags or containers. I take the milk bags out of the outer bag. I take the cardboard off all the little mini packs of yogurts, anything to reduce that visual clutter. And I think this applies to so many areas of our homes, not just our fridges. Item number 4 that everyone declutters is packaging. And I feel like this is one of those things that can take a space from looking good to looking really great. In this space, you can see that we removed all the packaging on the toilet paper. We usually often get rid of all the medication, the boxes that meds are in. I think in this case, we kept some of them because I wanted the client to know what she was currently using and what was backstock. This particular client also had one of those really cool battery storage cases. So we were able to get rid of all the battery packaging and put the new batteries in the case that she owned. Just getting rid of packaging can reduce the amount of things in your home and just really add the functionality of a space. Okay, last item that we always declutter that you might need to declutter too is coming up next. I recently had a local hairstylist send me a message on Instagram and basically told me how she deals specifically with clients who have curly hair. And one thing she does is she tries to encourage clients, anyone who at home has a half bottle of product, to bring it in. So if they didn't end up something that they didn't end up liking, but maybe another client wants it. Because I know with curly hair especially, finding what works for your hair can be a lot of trial and error. My sister has curly hair, and I remember when we were kids, she would not let anyone touch it, especially when she was in high school. She would get so mad at my brothers if they tried to touch her hair once she got it looking just perfect. So I love this idea from this stylist who basically knows that so many people get stuck with half of or 3/4. They use a particular item or product for 2 days and then just end up with the rest of it because they ended up hating it and just didn't work for them. Because sometimes we end up hanging on to these products even though we don't use them because we feel guilty about money spent or just the waste of the environment of tossing them. So item number 5 on list of things that people always declutter is exactly that: beauty products. Beauty products can include a ton of different things, from scrunchies to dry shampoo to eyeshadow. And this particular closet project had some bathroom backstock, but not a crazy amount of beauty stuff. But one thing she did have was a big collection of nail polish. So that's exactly what we focused on in this project. She also had this amazing nail polish storage container that I've never actually seen before, but when I shared it on Instagram, multiple people said that they had one and that they loved it. We pulled out all of the nail polish bottles and then we had our client review them, and she could decide which ones were still good and which ones could go. And being left with just her favorite ones and the ones that she knew she would use again and again made this whole category go from feeling kind of messy and overwhelming to just feeling oh my gosh, I can't wait to give myself a manicure right now. In this project, the client also decluttered a vacuum. They had more recently purchased a cordless one that they kept in the kitchen and that they used a lot more often. She also had some kitchen linens in there that I think they had received maybe for a wedding gift. I think there was maybe a tablecloth and some linen napkins that they just never used, so she let those go. She also had some candles, and anytime we have a client who really loves candles, they often will have a big collection, but inevitably we will find ones that they're half used or they were used twice and they just couldn't stand the smell of them and they just shoved them back in, and those often are decluttered. All right, guys, there are 5 things that we declutter week in and week out for our clients. and a great example of how a closet can go from cluttered and overwhelming to functional and peaceful and actually enjoyable to use. Knowing you can easily grab items you use regularly makes your day-to-day routines so much less stressful and more efficient. And if you are looking for motivation and decluttering guidance, you can check out my Ultimate Decluttering Guide, which you can find in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching and always being so supportive, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.